Here again is Arvin Vora.
Welcome back to Libertarians Working for You. Let's talk about state-level government. You know, we talk a lot about downsizing federal government, which I think is good, and I think is absolutely one of the most essential things we can do. But sometimes people say we should downsize something from the federal level and move it to the state level, and I disagree. I think we should downsize it at the federal level and then downsize it more at the state level. With me right now is John Hoop. He's running for the State Assembly, 70th District in California. John, welcome to the show.
Happy to be on.
John, let's talk about what are some of the parts of California government that we can downsize? What can we get rid of over there that's going to benefit all people in California, and maybe even by example, people in other states as well?
Well, there's several different functions that appear to be duplicated several times over. I mean, this isn't a case of maybe two different agencies doing the same thing. Sometimes you have as many as 24 agencies involved in a single concern. A great example is water, which has been a big problem here in California of late. There are somewhere in the neighborhood of 24 or more different agencies that all have their hand in our water somehow, some way. And you know, you could streamline this a lot better and it would be more effective. It'll also be more difficult for government agencies to pass the buck and pass the blame when they fall short of doing what they need to do. You know, you have things like the Department of Conservation and then the Department of Water Resources, the Natural Resources Agency, the Water Commission, Water Quality Resources Control Boards, Natural Resources Agency. You know, you can see how you have groups of people within our state government that are doing duplicated functions and still failing.
Now, it sounds like we're not saying that you could get rid of one or two agencies. It sounds like you could get rid of a whole bunch of agencies just from this.
Yeah, there's 408 state agencies that are listed on the California website, and a lot of people seem to think that there's actually probably somewhere more in the neighborhood of 600 if you actually look into it a little deeper.
What do you think? How many of those do you think we can just start to get rid of?
Well, 403 probably. I mean, if I had my way, there's a lot of stuff that goes on at the state level that doesn't even need to go on. I mean, here in California, we have very highly regulated lives. And, I mean, there's $9.361 billion in full-time employee budget payroll in state employees. So that's a lot of money that we're spending on a lot of different things that really just restrict our lives. And somebody's got to pay for it, and you guess who ends up doing that? It's the taxpayer. So I would say that you could probably eliminate, you know, in a more serious answer, half of these agencies without significantly affecting the state's ability to run the state government.
One of the really nice things about that is when you get rid of these agencies or you downsize a lot of these agencies, it actually allows people to more easily start businesses, engage in commerce, and all that kind of stuff. Do you feel that holds true in California particularly?
Yes, very much so. There's a lot of agencies in California that are there simply to take away your rights and then sell them back to you in a license. That's a big problem, and businesses have to deal with that perhaps even more than your individual citizen. You have, you know, just the vocational licensing boards in California are numerous, and you know, you have a multi-page website that tries to tell you where you need to go to get the appropriate license or complain about a business that's licensed. I mean, when you have, you know, a website that you can scroll down and you still need a second page to list all the vocational licensing agencies in the state, obviously businesses are being, you know, they're being put into a box and being told to think outside the box to be successful, and that doesn't really make any sense.
And that's extremely true. I mean, that's a problem that we have in Maryland. It's a problem we have in so many states where just stuff that has no reason to be licensed at all is being licensed. And the result is it just basically helps two people. It helps bureaucrats because it gives them something to do. And second, it helps the already entrenched businesses, the ones that already have lawyers and retainers, the ones that already know about how to set up all those ridiculous things. And it makes it harder for, the people who are like younger, people who may be very skilled with cooking, but maybe not as skilled with filling out 10,000 pages of forms. I mean, is that something that you feel also holds true in California the way it does in Maryland?
Yeah, there's a lot of things. I mean, everything from starting a business to spending time with your child on the weekend. It involves massive government involvement in terms of state agencies. And I say, spending some time with your child on the weekend, a good example is the Department of Fish and Wildlife. It costs $47.01 for a fishing license in this state, and that doesn't even get you access to the ocean unless you pay a $5.14 ocean enhancement stamp fee. So I think that DFW is a little bit too involved in our lives at this point, to where, God forbid, somebody wanted to inherited a boat or decided they wanted to live on the seas and be a commercial fisherman. Good luck. I just happened to be up the coast a little bit near San Luis Obispo, and there's a company by the name of Patriot Sport Fishing there. And I talked to one of the owners, and the attempt by California and the federal government to join two wildlife conservation areas is going to essentially squeeze this business out. It's already extremely regulated. So even the established long-running businesses are feeling the pinch.
The advantages that we also see from that is that when you get rid of some of these departments, you can also start to reduce taxes. Now, California, what's the tax situation over there, and how can we improve it?
Wow, it triple. You get taxed triple on some dollars that you earn here in California.
Wow.
You have obviously the federal income tax. California has a very socialist type state tax, where it's somewhere between, it's up to like about 12% or 12.3%. Somewhere in that neighborhood. And then if you hit over $1 million in salary a year, or of income a year, then you get an extra 1% special tax. So you have that, and then you have a 9% sales tax, and they'll bill you sales tax on their own fees when you purchase things from the state. So you get triple taxed on some dollars that you earned here in California.
Now, if we get rid of more and more of these departments, it sounds like we can probably get rid of more and more of these taxes as well.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you have to understand the size of any agency that serves the people of California is massive. There's 38.8 million people, and that's just kind of the estimates with the documented individuals here. We're probably pushing 40 million if you start really counting heads, so to speak. But if you put an agency in place and it's expected to serve nearly 40 million people, any agency that you eliminate is going to eliminate thousands of employees, probably. So the payroll of that will significantly drop the state's budget, which should mean taxpayers paying less taxes.
What's really nice about that is there's all kinds of research that shows that when you get rid of a state employee, if you get rid of a government job, you're going to get at least about 2 private sector jobs. I suspect it's more, because there's a lot of state jobs whose existence is only there to get in the way of private sector creating jobs. But conservatively, people say so. We're also talking about a potentially major job growth as well in California.
Yeah, there's a great study that was done by it was published in the Journal of Libertarian Studies by James Rolfe Edwards, called "The Cost of Public Income Redistribution and Private Charity." And they talk about what happens when you create a public sector job, what the actual drag of that is on society, especially considering the inefficiency of whatever their function is in their public sector job. And I think it was something like you get about 1.65 to 1 production out of private sector employees than you do out of public sector, or something in that neighborhood. So yeah, you do get much more production. You create more jobs. I mean, I'm a philanthropist by trade, and in charity, the average efficiency rate is about 70 cents to the dollar goes outward to the people that are being helped, and then you have the public sector that does social programs, and we could eliminate a lot of those agencies and turn that service over to the philanthropic world. they're only getting 30 cents on the dollar to the people that need help. So you got to tax $3 for every dollar of help you give out. So, of course, eliminating them, that would exponentially start lowering our tax burden.
And the great thing about that is it would also make it easier for the job creators, the future job creators, the young people right now who are saying, listen, should I start a business or should I just not do that because it seems like way too many licenses and nonsense? And you get all those people starting businesses. Some of those are going to succeed, hire more people. I mean, you're sowing the seeds for a lot of jobs right now, but for a humongous number of jobs in just, maybe 5-10 years.
Of course. I mean, the number of jobs that are gained with freedom, just in general, is always going to be a good thing. I mean, we were doing wonderful as a nation. Not that I'm only 30 years old, so I can't exactly go back to some of our heyday with personal experience. But from what I understand, this country was an economic powerhouse at one point, and that was because there wasn't a whole lot of government involvement in our economic progress and in our workforce. There was, you graduate high school, or even if you don't, you just go to work, and as long as you work hard, your life improves. And that's an incentive that creates jobs. It creates wealth. It creates income that now we don't have because the government has put a proverbial glass ceiling over all of us by limiting the amount of money that's really available to be earned by anybody other than them.
I think that's absolutely true. Let me ask you this: if somebody wants to learn more about your campaign, what's the best place? What's the best place for them to go?
Well, they can check out my campaign website. It would be John, John, Hoop, HOOP.com. And
awesome.
There's Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at John Hoop CA, and Facebook.com/John Hoop CA.
Awesome. John, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show today. And I really appreciate all the things you're doing to try to help push down government in California.
Yeah, I'm happy to be on and happy to be participating in this. Somebody's got to do it. So I guess that's what we've all been tasked to do.
Absolutely. And, guys, John couldn't have said it better. It's something we all have to do. It's not